The New England area. The Patriots have now finalized a deal for Ravens pass rusher Matt Judon. Sources say Ian Rappaport is reporting that
the Raiders have made a move to sign Yannick Ngakoue, and I don't know how you can see this move and not just absolutely love it.
Sammy Watkins will be joining up with Lamar Jackson in Baltimore next season. The wideout agreed to a one-year, $5 million deal over the weekend. The former 4th overall pick will have his work cut out for him, helping a Ravens passing game that ranked dead last in 2020. Baltimore is also still reportedly interested in signing free agent Antonio Brown as well. So
one of the questions I get from fans all the time is, for the wide receiver position, you've been able to draft Pro Bowl players at every single position. What is it about the wide receiver position that you have not been able to do so? And is that something you guys even think about?
I mean, do we think about it? I mean, I guess we think about it, but we want to win games. I mean, that's really what I think about more often is why did we lose the game or why did we win the game? So we want to have good players at every position. I'm aware that there's some fan discontent with our wide receivers and our drafting and all that. I mean, but in general, I look at our record and how we win games and how we play football, and I'm proud of the team. I know Coach is proud. I know Joe is proud. So we've got some really good young receivers. It's insulting to these guys when they hear that we don't have any receivers. It's quite insulting. I'm insulted by it too, to be honest. So I think we've got some guys that want to show everybody what they can do. We love our team. We love our roster. We've got a lot of really good young football players who care very badly about it. So I can't answer the question about Pro Bowlers and all that. I mean, if Pro Bowlers get voted Pro Bowlers, they're Pro Bowlers. But I think we've had a lot of good receivers here over the years that have won big games for us. And I know this. I think Lamar likes our receivers. I think our coaches like our receivers. I think the teammates, the guys in this team, like our receivers. And that's my answer to that question.
Man, oh man, oh man. Man, oh man, oh man. Before I get started, I would like to say, man, I really miss this stadium, man. I miss the stadium. I sometimes drive past it here and there. I think most of y'all know that I do live in Baltimore, and I drive past the stadium here and there, and I miss coming to it. I miss seeing it. I'm not gonna lie, all right? I haven't talked about the Ravens, I think, since we lost against the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs. How long ago was that? Maybe about 3 months. I haven't even remotely talked about them as much as I did all the way back then. I tweet about them here and there on Twitter, especially around the time when free agency started to really pick up. But that was about it. I think I did mention them a little bit. I think in the NFC and the AFC Championship game videos and the Super Bowl videos. If you guys haven't seen that, I guess you can go check that out if you want to. But I know why you guys are here. You guys are here for my thoughts, how I feel about everything that has transpired since that loss against the Buffalo Bills. And honestly, I have a good amount to say about it, about pretty much every single thing. Before I get into that, though, shout out to everybody on Twitter, bro. Ravens Twitter, in fact, that I want to put out there specifically, man. Those guys has been keeping up with everything from the beginning of free agency all the way to now. Just keeping pretty much everyone up to date and keeping the offseason pretty much fun and active. The number one guy, obviously, that everyone loves to go to is Jeff Zrebeck. Shout out to that guy, man. I feel like almost every single Ravens fan should know who he is. I feel like most people tweet at him, ask him random questions that, I mean, sometimes he know the answer to, sometimes he don't. But he's a really, really good reporter for us. Also, shout out to Engraven Vids, man. He been keeping up with everything that's been going on as well. Check out his YouTube and his Twitter. I try to leave his links down below if I can. And also my guy Kevin, I can't pronounce your last name, I'm sorry, but you are my that's my guy too. That's my guy. He keeps me up to date with all NFL draft prospects, especially pass rush in this class. Because I'm mentioning that a little bit later about the pass rush in this class, but follow him too. Also, shout out to Raimi, Malik, and A Simply. Simply makes all the Ravens hype videos you guys see sometimes on YouTube. Shout out to all three of those guys as well. I feel like I'm missing a lot of people. I think Mo comes to mind as well. So just shout out to all Ravens Twitter in general. Zach, I can't forget about Zach. You know what I'm saying? I interact with those guys here and there. Let's get into it, man. What has gone on in the Ravens offseason and the free agency, man? Let's start off with the defensive side. Let's start off with the losses. We lost Matthew Judon to the Patriots, Yannick Ngakoue to the Raiders, and Jihad Ward, Hattie, to the Jaguars. Not gonna lie, at some point in the season, I kind of knew Judon was gone. I wasn't too sure about Yannick because of we gave him a pick to get him in the first place. So I didn't think the Ravens would just trade a pick away to rent a player. But that's basically what we did, unless we get a comp pick for him later in the season, but I doubt it. I'm not too sure how comp picks work when it comes to like trades and everything. But I kind of didn't mind bringing Yannick back at the right price. I don't think he played up to like high premium pass rush ability numbers. To be quite honest, I mean, he really didn't do much for us. He just pressured the quarterback, and I'm not too sure. I really didn't notice him much in run stops. I really basically noticed Derek Wolfe and Calais when it came to the run stuff, and I didn't really see Yannick that much. But the guy out of all three of those guys that I really wanted back was Hattie, Jihad Ward. He played really, really well, especially down the stretch. I seen him pop up my screen a lot. He played very, very well. Shout out to Hattie, man. Hattie deserved his money. I'm not gonna lie. Not saying that Judon and Yannick didn't. I just feel like they kind of got overpaid due to the market and also what we probably would have paid them. Moving on to the offensive side of the ball when it comes to the losses, we lost Willie Snead to the Raiders, Mark Ingram to the Texans, DJ Fluker and Matt Skira to the Dolphins, but I mean, who the fuck really cares about Matt Skira? Not to disrespect him or anything, but we saw what he did with us and how badly he almost got Lamar hurt and injured on multiple occasions. But I think the one loss that really kind of affected me somewhat was Morgan Cox to the Tennessee Titans. If y'all don't know, Morgan Cox has been with the Ravens for I don't know how long. Okay, he's part of the Wolfe Pack. To me, he's still part of Wolfe Pack in my heart. Okay, I love Morgan Cox. I wish him nothing but the best. He was our long snapper for a pretty long time. And yeah, man, it's gonna be hard to replace him. I'm pretty sure we got somebody on the our roster right now to replace him. I can't remember his name at the moment, but I think he'll do a pretty good job holding snaps for Justin Tucker and long snapping for Sam Cook. Now, when it comes to the signings and the re-signings, let's start on the defense side of the ball. We re-signed my favorite re-signing out of all of this whole thing that we have done, and that's Derek Wolfe. Derek Wolfe played a huge part against the Tennessee Titans in the playoffs, man. I'm so glad we had him this year. And also Calais. Calais did his thing as well. The trio of B. Will, Derek Wolfe, and Calais, obviously the Monstars or what they call them, did a pretty damn great job at stopping the run when it came to Derrick Henry, man. Shout out to those guys, and I'm glad Derek Wolfe is back with us. I feel like he was born to be a Raven. He was born to be a Raven. I feel like he got that Raven swag, that Raven's toughness to him. So I'm glad he stayed a Raven, bro. We also re-signed Tyus Bowser. I'm glad we also brought him back. Out of all the outside linebackers that we did have on the roster, I was really happy at the growth that Tyus Bowser had when it came to rushing the passer or dropping back in coverage with the pick he caught, the one-hand snag pick he caught on Baker and that great Ravens and Browns game. That was amazing. So I'm glad we brought back Tyus Bowser, and I can't wait to see him do his thing, man, in this upcoming season. We also re-signed LJ Fort and co-cap Anthony Levine. Now, we did cut LJ Fort, I think, at some point in the offseason. Don't know why we did that, to be completely honest. Okay, I feel like we should have always kept LJ Fort to give time for Malik Harrison and PQ, Patrick Queen, to develop more. And the veteran presence in the linebacker locker room means a lot. Co-cap, obviously, anybody that watches Ravens game know that he's probably the best special teams player on the Ravens, outside of Chris Moore, that I think also left. I think Chris Moore also got signed to the Texans. I'm not too sure about that. But for a long time, Anthony Levine has been the anchor of the Ravens special teams, and I'm glad we brought him back as well. Now, moving on to the offensive side of the ball, we signed Kevin Zeitler from the New York Giants at the guard position. Really glad we picked him up. I kind of wanted Joe Thunley. I think that's his name. He got signed by the Kansas City Chiefs. but his act, the how much money that the Chiefs gave him was nowhere near close what the Ravens want to give him. So I'm kind of glad we got Kevin Zeitler for what he was and for the price. We got him pretty cheap. Not gonna lie, pretty cheap. What I think he's worth, and I'm happy about it. And obviously that leaves me with Sammy Watkins. To me personally, I love Sammy. I always loved Sammy since he was with the Buffalo Bills. He also did his thing when he went to the Rams as well. So I always love Sammy. I don't love his injuries. All right, I'm gonna be completely honest. All right, I don't love his injuries, but I feel like if he can give us a 17 game season, if he can give us somewhere between 12, 13 healthy games, I feel like there's some games here and there where he can sit out. The games where we go from Sunday to Thursday night football. That Thursday night football, I feel like he may sit out one of those games, or some games here and there where he's sore, because he is getting up there up in age as he is as a football player. He's getting up there up in age, and with his injuries, we don't want to overwork him too much, and we want to run first offense. So we really wouldn't have him doing too much at certain points. So I'm glad we signed him. It's a good signing. Now, Orlando Brown Jr. I have mixed feelings about Orlando Brown, to be completely honest. I get what he's saying, that he wants to move to left tackle, because one, that's what he played in school. At college at Oklahoma, he played left tackle, and he was really dominant at it. And when he filled in for Ronnie Stanley when he went down, he played really dominant as well. We seen the video of him. Easy money. You feel me? We saw that against the Cowboys, and it was. He played a damn good job at left tackle. I don't know if it's a mixture of his dad wanting him to play the position and also him wanting left tackle money. For some reason, left tackles do get paid more than right tackles. I'm guessing because that's the blind side position on the offensive line. But, I mean, does it really matter? I mean, I guess it matters. At the same time, it kind of doesn't. Maybe that's just something he's more comfortable with, playing on the left side. To me, I wouldn't trade him. All right, I'm be honest. I wouldn't trade him. I feel like if we trade him, we would probably get somewhere in between a top 20 pick, probably in the range between that top 15, the top 20-ish range of him. If it's not nothing than a first round pick, I wouldn't trade him. I wouldn't trade him for a second, a third, none of that. It has to be a first round pick, because the loss of a tackle like that, you have to replace him. You have to replace him probably immediately in the draft. Probably like a guy like Elijah Vera-Tucker. I don't know if he played guard or tackle, but Elijah Vera-Tucker is a nice pickup that we could get in the draft if we do trade Orlando Brown Jr. To me, I honestly wouldn't trade him. His cap this year is what, $900,000? Is he really going to sit out this year? I doubt it, but do I want to create a bad relationship with Orlando Brown Jr. as well? I kind of don't, because he's one of the best offensive linemen we have on the team, second behind Ronnie Stanley. So I don't want to make a bad relationship with him. And his dad also played for us, so it would kind of be some bad blood thing, and I kind of don't want to see it go that route. We don't know how long Ronnie Stanley's going to be out as well. Ronnie Stanley could be out way past and probably in the middle of training camp, so we would need a left tackle to fill in that spot until then. Who knows? He could be out to maybe like week 3 or week 4 of the season. We don't know the extent or how well Ronnie has came with his recovery, so we may still need Orlando Brown to fill in that spot until Ronnie comes back. Whenever Ronnie comes back in that position is when things will kind of get in that gray area. Will we smooth over things with Orlando Brown and he will stay at right tackle? Or will we just trade him away and get some picks for him right now before he then leaves us, or we create a bad relationship with him? No, it's a lot of factors that go in between that. I don't know what the Ravens will do. If I had to guess, I believe we keep him. If it's not a pick higher than, honestly, maybe 15, I don't see us trading him for him. Trading him. I'm gonna be completely honest. I hope Orlando Brown stays, to be completely honest. He's a great player, and I would love to see him be a Raven, honestly, for life. Like was his dad a Raven for life? I think he was. I could be wrong, but I want him to follow in the same footsteps as his dad and play a great career for us. Now, when it comes to wide receiver, the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens wide receiver topic has been a very popular one over the past few months, or really for the past year or so. It has been a popular topic. There are reports that we did want to go after Corey Davis. We did also offer Juju a contract. We also offered T.Y. Hilton a contract. All those guys turned it down to go elsewhere. Well, Juju stayed pack and T.Y. Hilton stayed pack. Corey Davis decided to sign with, I think, the Jets or the Giants. One or the other. He signed with those guys over the Ravens. Not too sure if we were in the market for Kenny Galladay, because Kenny Galladay got a really, really big contract, and I don't think the Ravens would have offered him that number at that price. So I can't say we were in the market for Galladay. I'm going to be completely honest. I know there were some rumors and speculation behind Allen Robinson, but he is franchise tagged unless we do trade Orlando Brown to the Bears for Allen Robinson and a pick, maybe. And I can see that happening, but the chances of it happening, I think is pretty low. And obviously, the guy that's still out there right now, Antonio Brown. Now, here's how I feel about Antonio Brown coming to the Ravens. I think would be an okay fit due to the Florida connection between Lamar Jackson and his cousin, obviously, Hollywood. AB is starting to get on the downside of his career. That doesn't mean that he still can't play, because he can play. All right, don't get that twisted. I just don't think he's no longer in his prime. He may be on the backside of his prime or going into the second phase of his career, but I still do think that would be a nice pickup for the Baltimore Ravens. And that leads me to what I'm about to say about the wide receiver position in general. What Eric DeCosta said is kind of true and kind of false. And I get why he said it. I mean, he has to defend the guys that he drafted. I mean, damn, he did draft them. Say if Ravens fans do feel this way, that, you know, we stink at a wide receiver position. Me personally, I don't feel like we stink. I feel like it could be better. And you basically question this man's ability to draft talent at the wide receiver position, because all the wide receivers we have right now are all drafted by Eric DeCosta. If I'm not mistaken, maybe one of them was drafted by Ozzie, but I think this whole wide receiver room right now, currently constructed outside of Sammy, has been drafted by Eric DeCosta. So you're basically questioning his ability to look at talent and draft talent. So I get why he say, well, I'm insulted, but I don't think Eric DeCosta is naive either. I believe he does feel like we need a number one wide receiver, because he's seen what it has done for other quarterbacks outside of Lamar Jackson. Look at Josh Allen, for example. They got Stephon Diggs and made him extremely better. Hell, his passing numbers, his completion percentage went up 10% from what it was last year, the previous year, just because of Stephon Diggs being there. Obviously, we see what Patrick Mahomes is doing with Tyreek Hill, Markel Holman, Robinson that they have there, Travis Kelce, obviously. They have a bunch of guys that they can throw to. Hell, even the Browns have a better wide receiver room than the Baltimore Ravens. With right now, Odell is there. I don't know if he'll be there when the season starts. Hell, Odell might get traded. I would love Odell to be on our team, but would he really be fine in a run-first offense? I don't think so. But even without Odell, they have Jarvis, Rashad Higgins, Njoku, Austin Hooper. They have a lot of guys over there that can ball. You can even look at the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, they have Hunter Renfrow. They have Henry Ruggs. They have Darren Waller, a former Raven. Like, even Derek Carr has weapons. Why doesn't Lamar have those top-tier weapons outside of Mark Andrews in the occasional splash Hollywood game? Now, I do believe Hollywood could be way better than what he is, but that's due to play calling by Greg Roman, which is a major problem. In any offense that Greg Roman has been a part of, the rushing has been top 3, top 5 in all those years, but the passing has been the bottom half or bottom 5 in all those years as well. I think that has something to do with the rushing attempts and the rushing yards versus the passing attempts and the passing yards. If you run the ball a lot and you get a lot of rushing yards, well, consequently, the passing numbers will be down. And that has something to do with Lamar Jackson. The trio between Lamar Jackson, J.K. Dobbins, and Gus is probably one of the greatest running trios of all time. Hell, we honestly right now has had, for the past, 2-3 years, had one of the best running attacks of all time due to the yards per carry and the yards per game. We haven't seen anything like this in football for over 40 years of the National Football League. So it consequently brings down the passing yards. So it's kind of a, double-edged sword with this. Damn if you do and damn if you don't. We run the ball so well, sometimes we don't even need to pass. We have so many big plays in the running game. By the time we pass the ball, hell, Lamar Jackson probably will pass on one drive. Lamar will probably pass about 4 times. 4 times for about 20 yards, 20, 30 yards. Because we run the ball so damn well, we can get by about 6, 7 a pop with either Lamar, JK, or Gus. The passing numbers to me kind of matters, but it kind of doesn't at the same time. I feel like the problem with the offense is the passing concepts and when we pass. These little baby ass slants and drag routes and dig routes, everybody running the same way. It's a video out there when Willie Snead and I think Miles Boykin then ran into each other because they run the same fucking route. Like, I mean, this shit is Pop Warner. Steve Smith Sr. said it. Former Raven wide receiver said it himself. This offense is very elementary school, baby-like. I mean, the shit is very simple to fucking run and simple to guard. Now you can ask yourself, well, in defense of Greg Roman, well, it worked for 2019 when Lamar won MVP, and it also worked in 2020 because we went 11-5, which is all true. In the regular season, you have many other things to worry about. You have a team that you can play this week and next week and the week after that. In the playoffs, it's win or go home. So all your focus is on one team. And when all your focus is on a Baltimore Ravens offense, you can dial in on what they do best and what they don't do best. And these little baby-fied little fucking slants and dig routes that we fucking put on the field by Greg Roman is doing absolutely nothing. Nobody is fooled by what the Ravens is doing on offense when it comes to the playoffs or hell, even a regular season. I mean, we run the ball so well, sometimes it's hard to stop. But when you have guys on defense calling out your plays, that is a problem. That is a problem. You then become predictable, and that's even a bigger problem when that happens. But the number one, I believe personally, the numero uno problem that must be fixed right now, immediately, even when it comes to the draft. Let's hop into the draft. The numero uno problem that I believe should be solved in the draft or free agency is offensive line. I feel like that takes more priority right now over wide receiver, and I tell you why. I believe we can still win with the wide receiver room that we have currently constructed, even though I do believe we still need a number one wide receiver, because yes, we can win all those games, but when it comes to the big games like playoffs and even to the if we even get to the Super Bowl, you need that number one guy to get open no matter what. You need a guy that you can rely on, that you can throw to when the rubber gotta meet the damn road. You gotta throw to that guy, and 9 times out of 10 it's gonna work. Now, for a long time, it has been Mark Andrews that has been that guy for Lamar Jackson. But when you're now doubling Mark Andrews with a linebacker and a safety, it's kind of hard to do that. A tight end as your number one is not always the best thing. It worked for Tom Brady, but a lot of things had to happen for Tom Brady to be able to have that connection with Gronk. I mean, he had Julian Edelman, Wes Welker, and a bunch of other guys that made that connection with him and Gronk so special. And Gronk is a generational talent. Mark Andrews is no Gronk by any means. Gronk could still be double teamed and he still come down with the ball. I can't say the same for Mark Andrews. I've seen Mark Andrews drop the ball multiple times. So we do need a number one wide receiver. In the draft, if Rashad Bateman is there, I'll take him. I'll personally take him over Terrence Marshall Jr. The reason why I'll take him over Terrence Marshall Jr. is because Terrence has a tendency to drop passes, and he's not that much of a willing blocker. You can go back and look at his tape. He kind of misses some blocks here and there. He's kind of lazy when it comes to blocking on run plays. So that's not a good fit for us. Rashad Bateman, on the other hand, just screams Raven. He has that toughness. He does get open. He plays very, very physical. Now, I will say that his vertical speed, his straight line speed, isn't personally where I would like, but the game speed and how fast he is doesn't really matter to me if you can get open at will. Like that has no precedence on how I feel about you at all. But either way, I still believe the number one need on the offense for the Baltimore Ravens is offensive line. Think about it. The last time the Ravens offense was really dominant and almost felt unstoppable when you was watching it was the 2019-2020 season when Lamar Jackson won MVP. And that was primarily due to great center and guard play that we had at the position. And as you've seen in the past year, the center position was a absolute fucking disaster for us. I don't know how it got so bad at certain points where the ball was going over fucking Lamar Jackson's head. Lamar Jackson had to make spectacular catches just and shotgun to even catch the damn ball so it won't be a fumble. And you've seen in the Bills game, in the playoff game, the ball snatched behind him about 25 yards. He has to run back and throw it away, and consequently gives him a fucking concussion. So I believe center and guard are the new two number one issues that we must solve for the Ravens offense. If we want to get back to how great we was in 2019-2020, I believe it starts and ends with the offensive line. The chemistry between the center and quarterback is so important because that's how the fucking play begins. I mean, the play can't begin or start or even finish if it doesn't have great communication and great transition from the center to the quarterback. I mean, that's the person that touches, the two people that touches the ball the most in every single game is the center and the quarterback. Those two must be in sync, and when your center is playing off, when your center is throwing the ball and throwing it in the dirt, throwing it to the side, left above your head, it's a fucking problem. It's a fucking problem. And we must fix it immediately before we even touch wide receiver. Some even feel that we need pass rush, and I'm one of those people too. I kind of value right now for our team, I kind of value pass rush over wide receiver. The wide receiver room right now is more than what we have at pass rush. And when it comes to outside linebackers and defensive ends, and that's saying a lot. Now, we did also bring back Pernell McPhee, which I'm pretty happy about. And like I said before earlier in the video, we also brought back Tyus Bowser. Tyus Bowser is mainly a blitzing situation or pass coverage outside linebacker. And also, Pernell McPhee is on the downside of his career, so we don't know how much left he has in the tank. So we need somebody else in the draft or even in free agency to come in at pass rush. I thought it was going to be Justin Houston, but Justin Houston then came in, didn't get a contract, and he left the building. All right, we brought him in, and nothing happened. Nothing developed. Now, the reason why Justin Houston didn't get signed was because obviously we want to keep our comp pick. But I believe that 4th round comp pick shouldn't even matter when it comes to bettering your team. Quite honestly. Think about it. Do you really think a 4th round pick in the 2022 draft would impact our team more than Justin Houston would this year? I'm going to go on a limb and say absolutely not. Truly, you never know because you can find gems in the draft, but I believe Justin Houston is right now still a good enough player to make an impact in the pass rush versus a guy that we could get in 2022. But even still, even if you don't sign somebody in free agent, some people will love Aziz, some people will love Gregory Rousseau, some people will love Jalen Phillips. I honestly love all three of those guys, but at that 27 spot, if we don't trade up or if we don't trade back, if we're still staying in that number 27 spot, I believe we either do one or two things. One, we have to get Rashad Bateman if he's sitting there. Have to get Rashad Bateman if he's sitting there. Like he's just sitting on a silver platter. If he's still there, like you almost have to draft him. If he's not there, you can either trade back, get more picks because we all know the Ravens love more picks, or you can just plunge on an offensive lineman or a pass rusher. That's what I would do. Because again, I feel like pass rusher or offensive lineman is two greater needs than wide receiver. But Rashad Bateman is too good of a player to pass up at that position. So draft Rashad Bateman if he's there, or trade back, or do what makes sense, Ravens, and draft the offensive lineman or pass rusher. That's how I personally would do it. Last but not least, the cream of the crop, what will make this team go and what's the end all be all, what will make or break this team will always be number 8, Lamar Jackson. I think we all know by now this team goes as Lamar Jackson goes. The narrative on Lamar Jackson sometimes gets skewed due to, I feel like, Ravens fans that some feel like he needs to get better, some feel like he's the greatest of all time. it gets skewed by NFL analysts that just sees his rushing and passing numbers and think, well, he runs too much. He needs to pass. It gets skewed by NFL fans from other teams that don't watch the games at all, that just believe Lamar Jackson can't pass worth a damn. People have their opinion on Lamar Jackson mainly to fit their narrative. If you didn't feel like Lamar Jackson was a good enough quarterback in 2018, if you don't think he is a good quarterback by now, I don't think you ever will. If you thought Lamar Jackson wasn't going to be worth a damn, or one of these guys that's going to run around majority of the time and just scramble and not develop into a really good quarterback, well, I feel like if it hasn't changed by now, it will never change. The dude won MVP, led the league in passing yards, at one point led the league in QBR, and people still hate on him. People still feel like he's not that great of a quarterback and shit on him. So here is my honest opinion about Lamar Jackson. I believe there are only 2 quarterbacks breathing right now that I would take over Lamar Jackson. And they're both Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. 2 of the most gifted, talented quarterbacks of all time. Very, very talented. The most talented I probably have ever seen out of majority of quarterbacks that have ever stepped foot on an NFL field. Those are the only 2 quarterbacks right now that's on the NFL roster that I would take over Lamar Jackson. That's just how I personally feel. Lamar Jackson impacts the game so much that you have to account for his legs, his passing. Lamar Jackson can pass the ball. Okay, let's not get it twisted. Lamar Jackson can pass the ball better than what people give him credit for. But I do believe he still has room to grow. His decision making, his ball placement, and as sometimes his mechanics can get off kilter when I see him pressing the issue. When Lamar Jackson presses the issue, I can see him getting out of his element and start to force balls, and sometimes his mechanics falter. I see that happening a good number of times, and I feel like he'll change it. I feel like he notices it too. Sometimes Lamar Jackson will have a check down, and he will completely negate the check down to force a pass downfield because he feels like that's what the offense needs. Sometimes we don't need that. Sometimes we just need easy completions and easy yardage that sometimes he passes up to get even more deeper yards and way more down the field. And sometimes I feel like he doesn't have to do that. But honestly, that's my only issue with Lamar Jackson. Everything else Lamar Jackson do, I'm completely fine with it. He does everything else either really good or really, really great. I don't see why people shit on him so much. But again, the offense will go as Lamar Jackson goes. But that will only happen if Greg Roman opens up this offense. We cannot run pistol and read option majority at like 70-80% of the game. That's not going to work. Lamar Jackson is good enough to go 5 wide, 4 wide, and have multiple passing concepts on the field that he can throw to. I don't know why Greg Roman is simplifying his offense so much for Lamar, because I feel like Lamar can do it. Des Bryant said himself that Lamar Jackson is not the problem. I feel like multiple people have said Lamar Jackson is not the problem, as you can see in some of the practice videos and some other time and some other instances. So I feel like this team is in a good position. I feel like they just need a little bit more at certain positions to really put them over the top. And that's about it. That's honestly how I feel about them as a whole. I do believe that we need a true number 1 wide receiver because, I mean, we really don't know what we have in James Prochet and Devin Duvernay because we really haven't had an offseason with OTAs in an extended training camp due to last year with COVID. So Lamar Jackson, you could say, never really had chemistry with James Prochet or never really had chemistry with Devin Duvernay. Hell, you can even say he hasn't really had chemistry with Miles Boykin. And I still believe, I'm one of those people that still believe in Miles Boykin. Miles Boykin got open a lot last year, but Lamar Jackson looked him off for somebody like Hollywood or Mark Andrews or even the check down with Mark Ingram and J.K. Dobbins. And even at some points, his check down was really Snead when it needed first down yardage. So I feel like Miles Boykin does have something to offer in this offense if given the opportunity. Opportunity is what will make or break this offense as well as Lamar Jackson. We need opportunities to see what these guys can do because if you don't give them the opportunity, you will never fucking know if these guys are good or not. Now, I don't believe nobody on this roster as currently constructed right now is a number 1 wide receiver. I believe Sammy Watkins is a number 2. I believe Hollywood is a number 2. Even though I believe Hollywood could be a really, really damn good number 2. Hell, maybe even develop into a number 1, just like how Tyreek Hill did. We never know, but he needs the opportunity to make that happen. Hollywood needs way more opportunities than fucking streaks and go routes. Hollywood, I said it before in my past videos, Hollywood can run slants, Hollywood can run posts, Hollywood can run quick outs, dig routes. Hell, throw Hollywood screens here and there. I mean, why is Madden playbooks way better than what Greg Roman is putting on the fucking field in a real game? Why is that? Like, it's the simple things that we can do that can make this team be way, way better and put at the top and win in these big games against the Chiefs. Win in these big games against the Bills. Like, really, that's the only teams I see as competition in the AFC. Maybe outside of the Browns, because the Browns got better as well. But when it comes to the best teams that I fear the most in the AFC are the Chiefs and the Bills. We have to beat those great teams if we want to take the next step. And I believe we can. But again, it has to predicate on Greg Roman opening up this offense and the progression of Lamar Jackson. Outside of that, I love this team. I pretty much love this team front to back. When it go from the DBs to Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Peters, the most underrated and underappreciated player on the Ravens defense, Jimmy Smith. Deshaun Elliott, I believe, will take a step. Chuck Clark will still do his thing. LJ Ford, Patrick Queen, Malik Harrison. I believe those guys will do their thing. Tyus Bowser, Calais Campbell, Derek Wolfe, Brandon Williams, Big Baby. I believe Big Baby and Calais do need to restructure their contract to see if we can get some more guys maybe in free agency or maybe within the draft or with even in trades, because I still feel like maybe we can do something with Allen Robinson or trade for another guy later in the year, but we need cap room to do it, and we need guys to want to come play for the Ravens. Not saying that guys don't want to come play for Lamar. Lamar is not the problem. I'm telling you now, Lamar Jackson is not the problem. It's the passing game. And you can say, well, isn't that somewhat Lamar Jackson's problem? Well, not necessarily. Again, that's Greg Roman. You have to open up this offense if you, A, want guys to come play for us, and 2, to take that next step to be one of the best teams in the NFL. I don't want to make this video too long, but I haven't talked about the Ravens in so long, so I kind of knew this video was going to go longer than I wanted to. But again, the Ravens are in a great position to do what they do best. As this team is currently constructed and the opponents that we have this year, and the fact that we have a 17-game schedule now, I believe I can see this team going about 11-6 or 12-5. I can see us doing that and then making a deep run into the playoffs. But if we don't have a number 1 wide receiver, or if we don't get a really, really good pass rusher, that's all I see us doing, is winning a lot of games in the regular season, making somewhat of a run in the playoffs, but not making a Super Bowl, or even if we do make a Super Bowl, losing a Super Bowl. So I feel like, again, number 1 need, offensive line, pass rush, and then a number 1 wide receiver. That's just personally how I feel. But hey, man, more Ravens videos will be coming soon. I just haven't been talking about them a lot because I feel like, well, nothing really has happened for me to talk about. And I'll be honest, man, it's kind of depressing seeing a lot of teams around the Ravens get better and we don't at certain positions. I'm be honest, it's kind of depressing. And the cap issue, and with Ronnie Stanley, and with fucking Des Bryant saying what he's saying, and Willie Snead saying that, well, anybody can be a number 1 wide receiver if given the opportunity. I mean, shit. I mean, damn, it's almost like everybody knows that like Greg Roman fucking stinks at passing game. I feel like everybody knows that by now. All right, so it's been kind of depressing. I'm gonna be honest. It's been depressing, somewhat trying to think about the damn Ravens. All right, it has. I'm gonna be honest. But hey, man. Love and share every one of y'all. It's been your boy CM2. If you haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe. More Ravens videos will be coming soon. I will be giving you guys my thoughts. I actually might live stream the NFL draft next Thursday. I don't know. It depends on how I feel. I don't know. If I'm not doing nothing, I may stream the NFL draft. Obviously, I think from you guys that have been watching my YouTube for the past like month or so, you guys have seen that I have been playing more Madden and more franchise, so I'm going to continue to be doing that. And also I'm gonna mix in the Ravens videos here and there once the offseason wraps up and we get closer to training camp. So again, love each and every one of y'all, man. It's been your boy CM2. And I'm out.